Do you want to go ahead and say that again?
We are a DIY company. We reject professional cameras. Yes.
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 Down with professional
This is
cameras.
DIY.
That's the whole point. And this is a great way to welcome everybody to the Indie Music Network, presented by Not Dead Yet Media. This is a show, or a podcast, or a YouTube and podcast, or I'd call it a show. It's a music and business adventure story about how we met, how we came together to help artists and each other. It's hopefully going to be a long journey, and we'd love for you to join us. And that's my intro of what we are.
Amazing.
So, Heather, how did you start in this?
So I started in this at the ripe age of 5 years old, being forced to play piano. And then I taught myself guitar because I thought piano was lame. And then I taught myself the banjo, being from the South. And then I decided to major in entrepreneurship. And then I decided to move to New York on March 4th of 2020, which was great. And then had a bunch of weird COVID jobs that landed me an artist management company after being a freelancer. And then I met you guys, and now I'm doing a podcast, I guess. So that's me. Rebecca,
So we're
how
making
did you get
history.
here?
We're making history as we speak. Well, my family comes from people who love music. That
There she is.
is a poster from my dad's family dance band. That's how my parents met. I took music lessons as a kid and into my teens. And then I've been involved with artists, starting in college, booking music on campus at the University of Wisconsin. Decided to chase my dreams of fame and fortune by moving to New York. And I had a couple stops along the way at advertising agencies and doing some social marketing. But I've been working with artists for a couple of decades now, and most of them have been artists that push genres. They are not easy to categorize. They take influences from all over. It could be electronic, it could be hip hop, it could be blues, rock, and they put it all together. So my sweet spot is preserving their creative vision, but also coming up with creative campaigns and then seeing them through all the way to implementing them. So
how can you be
and that's
working
how
with
Russ and
artists
I
for
met.
decades when you're only 25?
Exactly. Well, a miracle child.
You started young.
A miracle child.
Yeah.
What can I say? But that's
A
how
true genius.
Russ and I met, working on some groundbreaking artists back in London record days. So take it away, Russ.
Well,
yeah, Russ, who are you?
Well, my story is another podcast, so we'll save that for another time because it'll come out eventually, and there'll be lots of stories that we could talk about that'll be both fun and sad and scary at the same time. But basically, what the reason, who we are, is you have a young entrepreneur who's entered the music industry, a CMO who has decades of experience as a marketing executive. And I myself was a manager for over a decade and then ran 2 indie record labels. And saying running 2 record labels sounds really pompous, but basically was either general manager or an EVP, and hired about 120, 130 people. So we have both youth and experience. Youth is myself, experience is Heather.
Absolutely. So you're probably wondering why 3 white people decided that another podcast had to be made, and we completely understand that. But our goal with this podcast is to show you guys how to break through the noise, whether you're an artist, whether you're looking to get into the business, how to not get fucked along the way. And one of my favorite things I always say is you don't know what you don't know. So we are here to make sure that you know. And we want to offer useful information for you and no bullshit.
And I'm going to be the only. I'm just going to keep going because I'm the one who's always going to be the earnest one. at a certain point, and then with the bad dad jokes, because at least they're not grad dad jokes. Um, it's also
Right.
because we are here because we've spent, at least for Rebecca and I mean, Heather's doing it now, but we spent a lifetime of music because it matters so much. Music matters so much to the world. It's changed people's lives. We love the way it does, and we love that we could work with artists throughout our career that have impacted us, and talked about it. In fact, I would dedicate this podcast to Joe Strummer and Frank Turner, and that would be my guiding light of how we do it. But because we care so much, and because we know some artist that we're going to be talking to, or we're going to meet, or we're going to hear is going to come along that's going to change people's lives that no one knew a year ago, and that's going to happen. And this podcast, the why, is because we want to do what we can to help. So
We're going
yeah,
to clip that and we're going to send it to Joe Strummer and Frank Turner.
Well, Joe
well,
Strummer's
well,
estate.
and here's another episode podcast, history of the music industry and
Yeah,
artists, so
no
that we can
kidding.
tell Heather that unfortunately Joe Strummer died many years ago. Um, um,
He's listening.
but yes, he is. He's always there. But what we wanted to spend today talking about is something really important. Throughout the years, you've always probably heard DIY, do it yourself, and today it's never been more true. But we firmly believe that DIY is not do it alone. It's about community. It's about building your own leverage. It's about things that you can control. So that's what our first episode is going to be. And we'll probably circle back and go over this because it's always going to be, there's no one way to do anything. And the rules will change. And as we keep going, we'll come back to this same premise of how we are. But why? I would ask Rebecca, why are we in this DIY world right now? What is changed so much?
Well, people complain about traffic, especially in cities or if you're traveling, but really the traffic in terms of music that's uploaded, the numbers are pretty daunting. So here's a little research, some facts. Spotify alone receives 120,000 songs a day. And TikTok has 1 billion monthly active users with thousands of creators vying for the attention of those active users. So that's a lot of noise. That's a lot of congestion that artists really have to be strategic about in order to try and gain people's attention and gain followers. And one other little fact for Spotify regarding Spotify is really only the top 1% of artists account for most Spotify streams. So it's the top 1% of artists that are really making a living off of Spotify streams. So we're going to talk about some tactics and strategies for how to nurture fans, find your loyalist fans, and have them actually become your I want to say evangelists, the people who are going to spread the word about you, and they want to share why they're passionate about particular artists and how that can really help a creator break through the noise.
So those are daunting numbers. It's hard to put your head around it. That the great thing is everybody could enter, and the bad thing is everybody could enter.
Right.
But for context, for Heather, and for new artists always had problems breaking through. If it wasn't for now, we have everybody in, so it's crowded. But before everybody used to talk about gatekeepers and how you had to reach all these third parties to be able to get through to get to a fan. And they controlled all the means of you being able to do it. So it was always hard. It's just different. But what we want to talk about, what DIY and DIA, not doing it alone, is what an artist can control. And an artist can control talking to fans. But it's first just a few things. You can control the music that you write and put out and the quality of that, because it needs to be able to reach people and touch even a few people to be able to know that you're onto something. So that's really important. You need to be able to tour. even though it's really hard and you've still got to do it yourself because no one cares, you've got to find those shows, and you've got to, however you do it, whether it's free, whether you bus, whether you play outside, whether you play a neighbor's house, however it is, you have to be able to connect with fans. That's the first building block to be able to do it. So touring is really important. And what you have now that didn't happen before, that I know is always sounds torturous to artists, is social media. And it is daunting, and it is crazy to look at everybody else or who's making it or not. But what it really is, it's just a bigger microphone to you to screaming into microphones. It's just a bigger thing. And what it does is it talks to fans that you've gotten, or when you're playing live, it talks to fans that couldn't be there, and you develop relationship with fans. So social media is your bullhorn. It's your amplification to be able to do it. And if you do it authentically, and if you do it just with your fans in mind, it actually is a great friend and a way to be able to start linking in and doing things. So that's the fundamental building blocks of what you can control. The music you make, the fans that you're able to build through touring and social media, and then spending your time connecting with those fans and nurturing them so that they become super fans, which is why I mentioned Frank Turner and Joe Strummer, because I will love them until I die. But that's what you want, because that will give you a lifelong career in the music industry to be able to do what you love.
I saw something the other day on YouTube. I think it was like a John Bellion interview or something. But he was saying on TikTok, you have to keep posting, and you have to keep posting and touring, and you have to keep going. And even if nobody shows up and you don't get any likes and it seems like things are just flopping and flopping, like, you have to keep pushing through to get to that audience, like whether the algorithm picks it up or your style of video changes just a little bit. And like, I can say the same thing from a management and business perspective. When I got to New York, I didn't really know anybody, and getting into this business, it was do it yourself, do it alone, which I do not recommend because this team is way fucking better. But getting out there and networking and having people say like, no, or you're too small or whatever, you got to keep pushing through. Number one advice from me on this podcast: keep going and believe in your art and believe in what you're doing.
Right. Believe in yourself. Well, I just
Exactly.
wanted to, go a little bit deeper about, two of the important points that Russ talked about. It's almost like what's new is, it's the same tactics, but using different tools. But things like, if you are touring, and touring could be, showing up every week at an open mic to start with. But people who are responding, you want to collect email addresses, even phone numbers, to start a text group, to start sharing when you're going to be playing next. If you've got a new song out, that's really it's kind of breaking a fourth wall, so to speak, to use like a theatrical term, because you can have this very intimate interaction with fans. And they might be just a handful very early on. The same thing in social media. Some of the feedback, some of the things we discuss with artists that we are, that we're meeting with is, I think sometimes it's, this, people feel like they're posting kind of into the dark, like,
Into
they
the
don't know
ether.
what's going to happen, into the ether. But again, that's something you can control. So if someone comments, you should like it. You should respond. You could ask for comments. You could say, I'm going to play, we're in New York, so let's say LIC Bar out in Astoria. And it's a great, very musician friendly. They have a beautiful patio with live performances sometime. It's like, it could be, what's your favorite menu item? Or if you're, at a venue, where should I stop and get dinner beforehand? Those kinds of things, just to generate comments. But if people are commenting, you want to acknowledge that, because people feel seen. Because as much as social, we'll put the social back in social media, because social media is where you can discover trends, people, artists. But the social part is really having that interaction.
And it doubles your comments.
It doubles
if you
your
reply
comments.
to everybody.
It doubles your comments, and that creates what people call traction and engagement. So even that will help manipulate the algorithm of Instagram, for example, to show that there's an active post going on. So think about social media. It's not just a one-way proposition. It's really a way to have a conversation with people.
So as you're always relying, you need to first rely on yourself and then the fans, because they are basically your free promotion marketing tool. They're your army. They're your lobby group. That's what's going to get everybody interested. So the most important thing in the most important thing always throughout the industry, for artists industry, was to be able to find that culture and find that community and find their fan base. They always did it through touring. It always was touring, unless it was a strict pop thing. It always was touring. What you have now, what Rebecca was talking about was, and Heather was talking about, was different tactics through social media. It just, everything's the same. Technology keeps changing. So what you have now is another way for you to reach people around the world that you never had before. So when bands were trying to break, they would tour for a year more, constantly, over and over again, to build up that audience that would get people to pay attention, to be able to go. And yes, earlier on, record labels were more willing to take a chance on artist development, which they're not now. And the deals were more sane, even though we could always look back and say things are better or not. They were just different. But the most important thing, the one constant besides baseball, James Earl Jones, the one constant is your fan base. Your fan base is everything, because they're going to be your army, your lobby group, your marketing team. They're going to be what a label can't do, or what a label could then just amplify on. But for you to be able to know that you have a loyal fan base is your entire reason to do it. Also because you know that your music is penetrating, it's getting to people, it's making them excited, and they'll let you know. And what Rebecca was talking about, at concerts now, besides selling merch, you have a sign up. You just get people to give. As long as you get an email, you could later get a phone when they DM you. There's just different ways to go, but you want to be able to use that. That works with pre-saves for Spotify. It works for finding out where your fans are and then having them help you get to a club that demand would allow you to go play there and book a show, or get an opening slot somewhere with another band, and you'll find them as you meet them on the road. So it's not that it's not really fucking hard. We start from the premise that this is really hard, and that everyone's trying to do it, and it's a dream that only a few fully attain to that kind of degree, which gets messed up because of social media again, because I hate that too. But to have a career, to have a life where you're able to do it and afford things, to be able to be a working musician and be an artist that continues to go, and maybe you get lucky and it explodes, but if you don't, to be able to do it that way, that's what cultivating a fan base is, because they will support you forever, just like I do with my artists. We do this because we're already super fans. We just happen to have the privilege of having to been close to artists and work, and in some of our ways help them attain that kind of respect and greatness and reach of their audience that they need. And once you've had that taste, and once you've been privileged enough to be a part of that, even someone at my age wants to keep doing it over and over again, because it just matters.
Yeah.
And to be able to do something as an artist that matters, and be able to do something in the industry that helps an artist that matters, that's what brought us together. That's why we're here. That's why we started. Not well. We amplified ourselves. Not Dead Yet Media. That's why we've created other opportunities to be able to help artists, whether it's an indie label that we have right now that's through indie distribution, whether it's a management company, whether it's artist or label services. They're all designed. Trust me, it's not a great business model. We're like you, trying to make it and build it, but they're all designed in the same way, to be able to find a community, because if we all work together, we'll be able to have enough leverage and help each other to be able to grow and break through all the traffic that Rebecca was making for. If we all push together and do it, and find a culture that everybody works on, we have something special happening. So it's
do it yourself, not do it alone. And there it is.
It's do it yourself and not yes, is that what you?
And not do, that's what I just said. Yeah,
You see,
I was saying it just wrapped it up with a little bow on
A
top.
little bow.
that was a perfect way to go and move me on. So we could
We
keep.
got a yapper over here, you guys. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, what do I do right now? Like, this is all great information, but like, what are some actionable steps that you can take? Here are 5 for you. So, as we said before, start collecting those emails and phone numbers at every show in your social media bios. I've also found that even just making a Google form that people can fill out is great and really accessible. Release consistently. So if you have a big project, let's say, keep releasing those singles maybe every 6 weeks, but have more in the pipeline. So if someone finds your music, they can access more of it in the future. Engage daily, 100%. We had a client who was doing okay on TikTok, started responding to all the people that were commenting on it, and I think, what does he have, 25K now or something? So it really works. Again, it doubles the comments, and people think it's really cool. They want to hear from you. They find a new artist. They're like, oh my God, they already replied to me. Like, super fan right there. Touring smart. So use your Spotify for Artists data. Have the app on your phone. Spotify for Artists is our Bible. So whether it's the demographics or the location, like everything about it, it's all at your fingertips right there for touring. Also offering exclusive or limited drops for merch or behind the scenes stuff, acoustic versions for fans. They love it because it makes them feel special. Imagine if Frank Turner for Russ, if Frank Turner was like, here's an exclusive merch drop to the people that have my email list, like, that's fucking sick.
I've already done it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Late to the party.
So remember, streams don't pay the bills unless you're in the top 1%, but superfans will. You can build your career one superfan at a time. Superfans buy your merch, they buy your vinyl, they show up to your shows, they support you despite the algorithm. They'll bring friends along to your shows. So build your career one superfan at a time. So that's about it for now. We're going to wrap this up, but there's much more to talk about. So please follow us, watch this space for more chat about how to break through the noise coming soon. Thanks for listening to the Indie Music Network podcast. If you found this episode helpful, share it with an artist or industry friend. And if you want more practical, no bullshit strategies to build your music career, hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Follow us on socials at Not Dead Yet Media and contact us at our website, notdeadyetmedia.com/contact. The music you're hearing today is artist Tosh Wolf's song, Electric Blue. Until next time, keep making music that matters.
And remember, we can get better because we're not dead yet.
That's perfect.